Hello and welcome to Fun with Retail. I just decided to go back to giving introductions because it's fun. Hope you enjoyed these stories I found on Reddit. All the stories are linked down in the description. You can find them and read them yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. For some context, I work at a local mom and pop ice cream shop. It's in a small town. We have around 14 people in there total, but normally we only have 2 people on staff every shift. I have changed the names for privacy, but here we go. There's me, there's my coworker Bella, plus we got the coworker's boyfriend, Caden, and the annoying Karen. Now, on to the story. It was a very slow day, and Bella asked if I cared if Caden came in. I didn't, so she texted him to come into the shop, and he did. They chatted as I stocked some stuff like spoons and the like. Anyways, at one point we got kind of busy, and there was a line that was starting to form, and I see the annoying Karen walk in. She looked really upset that there was a line. She only ended up waiting like 5 minutes, and there's only one family ahead of her. Me and Bella was busy making ice cream, and Caden was just leaning against the wall. He had his hands in his pocket, waiting for things to die down. Then annoying Karen tapped him on the shoulder. "Excuse me?" She started off nice, but that quickly changed. "Yes?" "Stop standing around and take my order." "I'm sorry, miss, I don't care if you're on break. Make my stuff." "Ma'am." "What, you have no hands?" Gesturing to Caden's hands in his pocket. "Now make my ice cream." Jaden, being clever, slips his hands up into his sleeves, and he said, "Actually, I don't." Annoying Karen just turns around, beet red, and she runs out of the store. We all had a good laugh about that as she sped away, and she burned rubber right by a cop. I was recently hired at a smallish motorcycle garage workshop thing just under 3 weeks ago. I was a mechanic, yet what I tend to do most of the time is run errands. I know, I'm not going to complain. Normally it's organizing bolts, tidying up tools, sweeping or grabbing food for lunch breaks, and the like. Just before lunch, myself and one of my colleagues managed to bend a breaker bar. It's a large bar designed to increase torque, so it makes it easier for a stiff bolt to be loosened, and therefore we needed to replace it. I take the company card and take everyone's money, so I head into town for some light shopping. Fortunately, we're situated only 5 minutes from a shop that has the parts we need, and a small coffee shop opposite. My work uniform is essentially black overalls. I personally put a hoodie over the top half, since it gets quite cold around this time of the year. This kind of makes me look a little similar to the uniform that's worn in this shop, so I turn up and head to the tool section. I find a breaker bar easy enough. They're quite large, so it's hard for me to miss them. While I'm here, I generally browse other things, and one employee asked me if I needed a hand. I was reading the back of a box, and when he speaks it makes me jump. I smack my head on the shelf above, knocking some of the stuff on the floor. Nothing heavy or delicate, thankfully, just a pair of heated gloves and some tubes of glue. I apologize, and I'm able to laugh it off, so I assist the worker in placing everything back. When his buzzer goes off and he has to head to the office, and he thanks me for helping. Just as I'm finishing restocking the shelf, a man walks up with a toolbox that they sell, and he's kicking and screaming about the part that was missing, or something. I honestly wasn't paying attention to what he was saying. I tried to explain that I didn't work there. He simply pointed at my legs, presuming that they're trousers and not overalls, and he calls me a liar, that if I didn't replace it, he would have me fired on the spot. The worker who headed back to the office arrives back, and he's at the end of the aisle, and he asked the man if there was anything he could help him with. Having spotted his name tag, I told him by name that I got this. I turned back to the intimidating gentleman and told him that he can't fire me because I quit. I place the items on the top of the toolbox he was holding, and I storm off, turning carefully not to show the massive grin on my face. Out the door I went, and off to the coffee shop, before returning back to work having completely forgotten about the breaker bar. I told them the story. My colleagues thought it was funny, so one of them walked over there and bought it himself. I went to Walmart today with my wife and newborn, looking for a bike for my daughter. To our surprise, the store was not only very crowded, but it was still a bit busy, as you can all imagine. This was due to being the holiday season. We arrived at the bike racks, and my wife had the urge to go to the bathroom. So I stayed behind, trying to determine which one was fitting for my daughter. Suddenly, the newborn wakes up. He's crying, and I start scrambling to prepare a bottle. As good as a father as I am, I could not find a thing in that diaper bag. So the chaos became very real very fast. Enter Karen, equipped with high heels, sunglasses, a hat worthy of the Kentucky Derby, and a dress straight out of a romantic scene from a 1980s movie.
Excuse me, help me get this bike down. Excuse me.
I knew she couldn't be talking to me, because it was clear that I was struggling to open a zippered bag while dealing with the deafening screams of a baby.
Excuse me, do you speak English?
I took a peek over my shoulder, and wouldn't you know it, Karen was staring directly at me.
Are you gonna help me?
I kept ignoring her, and I managed to get what I needed, as my son made every attempt to break every glass in the store with his high-pitched screams. At that moment, my wife showed up. I politely replied, "Can you please give me a moment, please?" I finished preparing the bottle and handed the baby to my wife. Then I turned to face evil Karen.
Are you gonna help me?
Did you realize I was busy with the baby?
I don't have all the time in the world to chit-chat. Are you helping me or not?
Which bike do you want?
That one right there.
She pointed at the exact one I was looking at, and there's only one left. So I take it down and start walking past her towards my wife.
You can leave it just right there.
Oh, I didn't get it down for you. I got this down for me. I'm buying this one. Learn some fucking manners, you old and take those shades off. It's 7:30 at night.
How dare you?
My wife burst out laughing. She laughed so hard that the baby started crying again. But this time, I didn't mind the noise, as it was blocking Karen's mumbling and swearing as we walked away with our daughter's new bike. Just to be clear, I had a young daughter and a baby. So yeah, there was a difference. Because obviously, you're not going to have a newborn ride a bike. Now to set the stage, I'm an Army combat veteran, and I have PTSD. I've got a really messed up spine, and it causes me to occasionally lose sensation in my right leg and my foot. Due to that little combination, me at 32, having had to walk with a cane since my mid-20s, have to use a cane. I usually walk around with headphones on, so whenever I'm out in public, I can focus on what I'm doing, and I don't have a panic attack, so I can get back home to where I belong. So it's early December, and I need to buy gifts for my daughters, 2 nieces, and nephew. Now, while I'm not one to go out shopping, because of the previously stated reasons, my wish to spoil my kiddos outweighs my discomfort. So I go out shopping with my girlfriend. This store buys overstock, and it sells them for really cheap. So my girlfriend and I decided to divide and conquer. I take care of my nephew and one of my nieces, and she takes care of our daughter and our other niece, with us regrouping occasionally to find something for the other one. We can compare and reorganize our carts, and we continue on, eventually checking out together. We've done this before, and it typically works. If things get too bad, she waits with the cart while I go outside. I go out there for 10 minutes while my body calms down. This was a Sunday, and this place usually gets older clientele, and I'm not surprised that most of the people here look like your normal group of retirees or people who just got out of church service. But this place was packed that day, just a sea of little old ladies and their husbands who you can tell didn't want to be there, plus their grandchildren running along with them. With this, I put my head down to take a deep breath. I grab my cart so I can have something to catch myself on, just in case my leg acts up. After grabbing a few presents, I see this little old lady. Best way to describe her, that she's a double for Where's the Beef Lady. The lady is struggling to get a box that was awkwardly large in her cart, and the only help she had was her grandchild, who was admirably trying to help. He's falling kinda short because he's only like 5 years old. So I take off my headphones and I say, "Excuse me, ma'am, may I please give you a hand?" The older lady smiles, thanks me, and I grab the box to look at it. It was a big Spider-Man playset, and it had a few action figures in the box. I set it in the cart for her, and told her how to tilt it to get it out of the cart, so that she could easily put it in her trunk. And also I set it up so it would easily be scanned without removing it. Now my nephew, he loves everything comic related, but Spider-Man and Batman, he goes bananas. So I decided I wanted to grab one. It was only like 20 bucks. It was a steal. Now, a much younger lady, we'll call her Karen, asked me for help with something that she wanted, and it was too heavy for her to get it herself. Now, I've never actually met a Karen in the wild, but now I know what they look like. and will hobble away as fast as I can the next time I see one. When I grab my cane and start following her, I'm assuming it's going to be just a few feet away, but we go about 10 feet and I still don't see her buggy. I stop her and I say, "Excuse me, ma'am." She stops and turns.
What?
I really need to get back. You made it seem like it was close, so I really don't have time for this. It was crowded, and I could really feel a countdown on my panic attack, so I figured I might have about 10 minutes if I get back to my headphones and not speak to anyone. And this is where I get confused for about 4 minutes. She launches into an unholy tirade. How it's us workers who's too lazy to help anyone, and that I should help her because I get paid to, and that I should shut the F up and do my job. Otherwise, I'm useless and I should lose my job. I try to get her to calm down by saying, "I don't work here," but I get cut off before I can put out a word edgewise. I quit trying after the second attempt and let her have her tantrum, like the overgrown child she was. Now, I am just mad at this point, and focused enough now that my panic attack is not coming, and I want to humiliate her. I lean against the shelf, steadying myself because my back is killing me, and I'm just tuning her out, and start taking notes of how she looks, what she's wearing, and something else that I can use against her. Now it's my turn to act like an a-hole. She finally stops, thank God, and she's red and huffing. I figured, screw it. Insulting her looks is too low-hanging of a fruit, so I'm gonna make her mad more and smile when I'm doing it. "So are you done? I mean, you haven't said crap yet that applies to me yet, lady. But if you want to actually talk and crack an insult at me, I'll wait. But I'm not impressed with your stamina." She's shocked.
How f***ing dare you? I want to talk to your manager right now.
I chuckled at that. Then I had an idea. A terrible, horrible, wonderful idea. "Sure, let me call them. Always happy to help." Then I called my girlfriend, and I said, "Hey boss, can you meet me over here at the toy aisle? It's between the food and the soda. I have someone here you need to talk to." I then hung up before she could say anything, and I texted her that I found a Karen in the wild that actually thinks I work there, and that I told her that I was calling my boss, and to run with it. Karen tries to start again, but before she does, I ask her, "Please wait for my boss to get here. You can tell her anything you want. Otherwise, I will ignore you, and you will exhaust yourself." This, of course, makes her even more mad, to the point where I think her brain is gonna fry, as she's trying to find a way to get to me. So she's stammering when my girlfriend walks up, and asks what is wrong.
"Your employee will not do his job and help me. I told him that he need to help me and earn his paycheck, but he insulted me for it."
I interrupt her, and I ask my girlfriend, "Hey boss, can you tell her how I earn my paycheck?" Then my girlfriend smiled at her and looked her in the eyes.
"Actually, his paycheck comes from a VA because he's a disabled veteran and he doesn't work here. I don't work here either. I'm his girlfriend and caretaker because he has PTSD and a bad spine." Karen goes white, obviously feeling horrified about what she just heard, and all the older people around us are just staring knives into her. But you were putting things on a cart."
No. I helped one person put one thing in a cart. Even though it wasn't heavy, it was big and awkward. And she was old as the hills, so yeah. But you are young and you have eyes that work. Do you see a name tag, lady? No? Did you look for one? I'm guessing not. Are you a massive right now? Oh yeah. The good news is, you pissed me off enough now that you frazzled me out of having a panic attack. So thanks and you. I walked off and my girlfriend followed. Side note, I did grab that Spider-Man toy from my nephew, and he went crazy over it. It does me good to see the little ones happy. This happened a few days ago. I went to Subway to get me some lunch, since Subway is my favorite fast food chain, and I just ordered my usual sandwich. The place I go to isn't very busy, so the employees usually mess around in the back, which is okay with me. Now a debrief on the characters. There's me, entitled woman, and two really cool Subway workers. So, as I'm eating my sandwich, I get a tap on the shoulder and a throat clear. I look back thinking it was an employee, but nope, it was the entitled woman. "Oh, yes?
"What do you mean, yes? Get off a break and make me a sandwich."
I don't work here, sorry."
"Stop lying. It is so obvious that you work here."
She points to my green shirt.
"Besides, no one else is here."
"I am sorry, but I don't work here."
"Yes, you do. Stop being a lazy b****."
She grabs and throws my food across the subway. The workers hear and come out to investigate.
What's going on here?"
Before I could finish, she interrupts me.
"He is swearing that he doesn't work here. and he also said I was fat and refused to make me food. I want him fired.
He doesn't work here, ma'am. He's just one of the usuals.
She also threw my food, by the way. They finally noticed the sandwich on the floor.
Ma'am, leave, like now.
I want my sandwich.
We're gonna call the police.
As soon as they said that, she ran out as fast as she could, trying to avoid trouble.
You want another sandwich? And I'll get you some crispy chips too for free.
Oh yeah, thanks. I got my sandwich and cookie for free. Thank you, entitled woman. I got a free lunch, and that was interesting. This happened about 6 years ago, right before my old car gave up the ghost. Now the turn signal knob had gotten caught on my jacket a week prior, and it completely snapped off. Sadly, also taking away the ability to turn on my headlights. I was leaving my job, and I've been parked just up the road. As I've had to do since then, I had a pair of needle nose pliers so that I could jam them in the steering column as a turn signal knob and also to turn on the headlights. As luck would have it, I had a bit of trouble that night, but managed to turn them on as a police cruiser drove past me. He must have seen me with my butt hanging out of the car, jamming something into the steering column, because as he rounded the corner and he went out of sight, I saw reflections of red and blue lights flashing in the trees. Not putting two and two together, I hopped into the car, buckled up and shut the door. The next thing I know, I saw the same car go whooshing past me. He was going top speed in the opposite direction. Still not figuring it out, I pulled out and started heading home. In my rear view, I saw the cop slam on his brakes and make a U-turn. Wanting to buy something at the gas station, I go ahead and pull in. It's only a few doors down from my job. So I got out of my car and the cop comes flying up to the parking lot. He parks it right behind my car. Then he rolls down his window, squints at me and says, "Oh, I guess you work here, huh?" Then he backs out and leaves. It wasn't until I went into the gas station that I realized he thought I was stealing a car. But when he saw me in khakis and a red polo shirt, I was actually dressed exactly like the cashiers, and he figured that no one would steal a car to drive to work. So close. Almost got arrested, but I was saved because I didn't work there, but I look like I did. Thank you very much for joining me for this edition of I Don't Work Here, Lady. Hope you guys enjoyed those stories. I did. I want to give a special thanks to my patrons. I couldn't do this without you. Thank you all, and I'll see you guys again soon. And just remember, have fun with your failures, or they'll have fun with you.